Hello, in this demonstration I will show you a method of embossing paper. I have three examples of paper here. There's a handmade paper, there's a Fabriano paper, which is what you use for painting, and this paper here, which is 100% cotton. I purchased this from St Cuthbert's Mill in Somerset. It's very good quality. So I shall be using this paper for most of the demonstration. Move these out of the way. Now all three papers have one thing in common. They've got fibres in them to give the paper a lot of strength. This embossing paper on cartridge paper doesn't seem to quite work as well as using papers that have fibres in them. So how did I achieve this? The embossed paper. I use a former or template. So what you're actually doing is pushing the paper into a mould or former to define an edge. So how did I make the former? So I had a design, and then I traced the design, and then I had some card which is about 1.5 millimeters thick. I traced the design onto the card, and then using a craft knife I then cut out the shape. So the bit that comes out the middle, or the cut, is this sort of shape, but as you can see that the wing shapes would actually just fall through. So once you've cut the card to your design, I use a backing board. This is, as you can see, is an old sketch board for a sketch pad, and then stick the components together, and then securing the wing shapes so they don't move about. Now if you're doing a larger design, this could obviously be as complicated as you want it to, but for this demonstration I've hinged it with some tape so it locates exactly back into the right place. Now this is a good tip really. So if you're doing a large one and you're checking what you're doing by doing this, then it probably is a good idea to find some way of locating it in the same position all the time. Now I've got some samples here I'll show you. So how did I achieve this design using tools? Well, I went onto the internet and purchased from a very good quality craft supplier. So these styluses, this one has two ends. It's got a very fine end, and this side has got this end has got a kind of ball end. So they've both got ball ends, one's larger than the other. This is a slightly cheaper one, but it does the same thing. It's got a fine tip and a large tip. This stylus has a Teflon end, which is very hard, kind of hard plastic, and it's got a flat end and a large rounded end. So I'm going to use on this design, and let's see if you can see it right. So it's a raised design of a white horse. So I've stuck the design onto a card and located the paper, and I'm going to use one of the ends, which is a larger end, just to define the edge of the shape. Now you don't need very much pressure on this. It's very little pressure really, and you're just trying to follow where the shape is, and then using a slightly smaller end just to define the edge. So I'm moving round the whole of the design. There's the mouth part, and I'm just working gently round it. I'm not overworking this. You don't need to do that. You just need a gentle, just pushing it round, and let the tool do the work. So you then get quite a defined edge. So you can clearly see the shapes coming out. It didn't take very long, and it's as you get a good result. So I tried it on the Fabriano paper, and the Fabriano paper's got a nice texture to it, and so I did the same method. I used card and a paper shape of the design, stuck it down, and then hinged it or located it, and then used the stylus over the large area. This does work very well, and it's nice with the Fabriano paper, because if you felt like that you wanted to colour it, let's move some of this out of the way. Yeah, the Fabriano paper works really well, because you can, if you want to do, you can put a colour wash about over it. So if you were doing a large painting, and you wanted a raised embossed edge or surface or design, it does work really well, and the Fabriano is very good at doing embossing as well, so it's quite a good way of doing it. And the paint does seem to fall or follow the shape, and it defines it even more. Right, let's move on to the next sample. Right, this is an ampersand, and it's the same thing, is that I've drawn the design out, stuck the components together using Yoo-hoo glue or Pritt stick, and most importantly the shapes that would obviously float about, so they're stuck down. Now I've got the Fabriano paper, so I'm going to just use my finger on the surface and push it into the shape to define the edge, and it very quickly starts to come out. It doesn't, it's just a light pressure, and I'm working my way round the whole of the design so I can see where I'm going, and then I'm using the head of the stylus to define the edges, and it's just a light pressure. I don't work on one area. I try and do the whole thing, not just concentrate on one area. If you over rub this, it will start to sort of delaminate. It doesn't take you don't have to take very long on this. It does do this very quickly. So let's have a look. Now, see if we can see it. Yeah, you can. You can just see it coming through the design. I've done the design, as you can see, as a mirror image, so the ampersand has come out the right way. So if you're doing letters particularly, or shapes that you don't want backwards, it is a good way of making sure that when you cut the patterns or the former, is actually to get it the right way. So when you actually do your work, it's in the mirror, the negative of it, the mirror version of it. So when you then turn it back, it's the right way round. So put that to one side. So on making the formers, I thought I might try a different material. I really like the cardboard. It's simple, and you're not having to buy anything. You're doing your own designs. You're being your own creative designer. But I thought I'd try it on lino. So this is just a lino board that you would use for lino cutting and printing. Now, if you can purchase these, they're quite expensive, but they do a really good job. You can use lino cuttings to cut the design, and in some cases, instead of having a nice smooth finish, you could have a textured finish. So that might work into your design. So you can use lino cutters to do this job. I have seen people use CNC routers, and instead of using lino, they used MDF. So I thought I'd give it a go. So I got a Dremel, which is a router, and I purchased a special head to go on the top of the router, and a cutter, which is this one here. It's this kind of straight flute, a spiral. So I've drawn the design out, and then I've used the Dremel on this, and then just gently cut round it. The slight drawback is that the lino is quite soft, and it will clog the tip up. So all you have to do is occasionally switch it off, clear the head, and then off you go again. Right, so as you can see, this is the embossed paper at the end of the job. It's come out really quite well, and I've used the same method. I've used these tools to push through into the lino, the form and the shape. It's really subtle. It's a nice thing to do. And you can enlarge this as well. So if you printed this and then decided, printed it with words or letters, or depending on your design, or silk screened it and then wanted to emboss it on the top, then that may be a way of doing this. I hope there's some takeaways for you, and thanks for watching. Until next time.